Hello and welcome to Create the Flow. I'm Monica Freeman, host and founder of Monica Freeman Studios and Unewell. I am here to guide you in aligning with your soul's purpose, trusting your inner voice, and building a life that you truly love. You were born with a purpose, and your intuition already knows the way. Hello, my love. Welcome to the show. Today's episode is really valuable if you have felt like you are no longer excited about your offers, or maybe you just have the wrong offer altogether and you're not sure. You're showing up consistently, but you're not getting those conversions. If that sounds anything like you, then this episode is for you. We've all been told that being consistent is the key to success. But when you are consistently doing the wrong thing, it actually ends up being the recipe for a disaster because you start to feel misaligned and you experience burnout. I know I have been through this. I built a 7-figure business, and when I was at the height of my business, I could not sustain the pressure that I was enduring in my business because things were misaligned. So I cracked under the pressure and had to take a sabbatical to heal my nervous system to rebuild. And I do not want that to be you. Some of the telltale signs that I ignored that I hope you do not ignore after listening to this episode is I was trying to build scalability fast, but I wasn't thinking about how much my body could sustain. So if you are a solopreneur listening to this and you do not have a team to help you, there are not enough management tools out there and AI systems to do all the work. And this goes from the smallest task to the largest. In theory, it seems like we have enough AI tools to make our content creation process pretty seamless so that we can be on every single platform. But the reality is, showing up on YouTube thinking it's only going to take an hour a week actually ends up being multiple hours a week because we post one video and then we realize it's not performing as well as we'd hoped. So we want to do 2 or 3 videos, and then it becomes 2 or 3 or maybe 5 hours of our week. And we start to double down and exhaust ourselves trying to be on every social media platform. So if this sounds like you trying to show up on TikTok and Instagram and YouTube and LinkedIn and Facebook and maybe Substack and podcasting and everywhere in between, I would encourage you to get clear about where you want to be. That is the number one thing. You will never reach your dream clients if you are spreading yourself too thin. This does not mean that you cannot eventually be on multiple platforms. But when you are trying to build sustainability, you have to tell your nervous system that it is safe, that it is okay to show up, that you are capable of showing up consistently, that you can grow one platform at a time. When you start to build momentum on one platform and your nervous system feels safe with that, then expanding to a second and a third and a fourth will feel comfortable and it will feel sustainable. And the same thing is true about an offer suite. If you have a product or a service that you have either outgrown or something that's taking more time than it is returning back to you, it's going to burn you out so fast. Understanding the service and or product that you offer in relation to your bandwidth is huge, and it's extremely important for sustainability. For example, if you have a service that makes you a lot of money, but you hate doing that service and it drains all of your energy and it doesn't leave room for anything else, then eventually that is going to crack your foundation. It's going to burn you out. It's going to have you reset at some point. And I say this with love, not to be rude, because I was actually bringing in 6-figure months with social media management as a service, but I hated doing that service. It no longer felt aligned with me. I want to say like maybe the 3rd or 4th year I was offering it, but I kept offering it because it was bringing me so much money, even though it felt misaligned. So before I had a chance to pivot to courses, which is what my body was telling me to do, I ended up breaking under the pressure, like I mentioned, and having to take an entire year sabbatical, which ended up being almost 2 years. That's a whole long story for another episode. But it ended up taking so much time from me that when I did decide to rebuild and be true to myself, not only did I have all of that time behind me where I wasn't making money. But now I had to start over from scratch. When you're building something that you think is going to make you money, but it's misaligned, it always has an expiration date. So, another example might be, let's say that you want to build a membership because it seems easy showing up in a community and teaching lessons and whatever the services that you want to offer in that community. However, if you are not somebody who can constantly build and have the momentum to sustain a membership, you're going to burn out trying to maintain that. Not to mention that most memberships, depending upon how much you're providing, they are not making you substantial amount of money. Those are more masterminds and higher ticket services. But these smaller offers, you don't want to burn yourself out doing more for less reward because eventually, again, your nervous system will view that as a threat. It will start to feel unsustained and you will start to self sabotage yourself. I know for me as a manifesting generator, having a membership really is something that kind of lights my sacral up and it makes me excited because I love to build. And generators, if you're a generator, you love to build. But if you're a manifester in human design and you are meant to initiate things and leave, then your traditional membership isn't going to be aligned with you. You're not going to want to produce content every single day or every single week for your community. That's not going to be truly authentically aligned with you. You might be someone who has a certain amount of lessons that are already pre-recorded and they go out on certain timeframes, or maybe you only have two Q&A calls or group calls a month, or maybe your membership is a specific amount of lessons that they know that they're going to get. Yours is more structured because you have to initiate when you feel that excitement about it, but you can't constantly be on. You would burn yourself out so quickly. So, being really mindful of not only your human design energy type, which, if you're not familiar with human design, you can go to my website linked below and get a free chart and see a little bit about your human design and what this means for you in business. But going back to your offer suite, really understanding who you are and the bandwidth that you have and the energy that you want to put into your services and your products is really important. When we think about this on a larger scale, think about different things when you're starting to really develop these products and services. Is this something that you can maintain consistently? Can you maintain a membership consistently? Can you show up for one-to-one clients consistently? Is that enough money for you? Do you want to have a mastermind instead or smaller group coaching containers so you're making more money and showing up less frequently? Do you want to have an evergreen product that is always available so you're constantly producing new content to sell to that? Or do you want something that is launching 2 or 3 times a year, maybe quarterly or even annually? Do you want to host in person immersions? Do you want to have a retreat? Do you want to be more on a Zoom call? Do you feel better in person? Do you like being on Zoom? Like understanding where you feel your best, what feels authentically aligned with you. If you like doing services, if you like working with multiple clients at the same time, if you work in sprints with one client, or do you have a marathon? How do you perform best? I have sat with so many clients and worked through the best structure for their business in order for them to scale. Because when you are building sustainability in your business, you have to be truly authentic with yourself and honest, like vulnerable, and say, this works for me, this doesn't. I do not feel like creating content every single day. I do not want to be on and have to sell every day. Passive revenue is not easy for me. Or maybe I do not feel comfortable in group containers in a mastermind. I do not want to be live or I do not want to be in person. I would rather have something that's pre recorded. You have to really understand who you are, how many services you can offer monthly, quarterly, annually, what that looks like in monetary terms. Is that return on your investment going to take into consideration your time that you're spending on that thing, the people that you're working with, the energy level that you have, the excitement? Because no amount of money can mask the way that you feel when you are burnt out. When we are emotionally drained, when we are disconnected, when we no longer feel excited about something, when it's misaligned, we no longer feel good in our bodies. Our nervous system shuts down. It literally goes into fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. And then it starts overthinking. We're in this analysis paralysis. We're starting to compare ourselves to other people. We think something's wrong with us. We start to feel disappointment and shame. And we start to think that there is nothing we can do. And so we just stay stuck. We lack clarity in how to get out of this situation. But you can avoid all of that by really simplifying your process. I will always go back to simplification because less is more. When you show up on one platform and you have strong content, and I don't mean you post every single day, you have strong messaging that speaks to the specific transformation and it has both growth and nurture content. That is so much more powerful than being everywhere all at once with a diluted message, an inconsistent post, and not leading anybody anywhere. And it's the same with your offer. If you have one low ticket offer, that is way more powerful than a really high ticket offer that you can't sell. It's all about doing what works for you without stopping and starting and stopping and starting. And if you're interested in understanding how to actually get your content to convert, I have a very easy to digest, simplified process that I teach in the conversion path. It's $37. It's super simple. I not only go into the logistics of your human design, which you can get the free chart on my website and then take this program, but I teach you as each one of the 5 energy types how you are meant to perform. So if you are meant to have a membership, if you're meant to have one-on-one containers, if you're meant to host retreats, if you're meant to have an evergreen product, what your energy type is designed for and how to sustain that. And then I teach you how to create the exact right content for your buyer on their journey, on their buyer's timeline journey, so that they can convert and buy whatever it is you're offering, whatever that product or service is. Because every single thing has to be streamlined. And it starts with you being energetically aligned with your time, with your energy, with your mental capacity, with your spiritual capacity, with your healing, your body, your nervous system. We have to be in full body alignment. We don't realize how all of these things interconnect. That's why I spend so much time on this channel teaching you about your body, your nervous system, your limiting beliefs, doing that shadow work and reprogramming doubts, fears, griefs, anger, resentment, frustration, so that you can align with your human design, energetic, best blueprint. And I like to call it the best blueprint because that means most aligned self, so that you can then create from there. When we reverse engineer anything in business, whether it is the sales, the content marketing, even the programs, the offers, everything, that's when we actually find what works best for us. So if this is something that you are really interested in learning and trying to change in your business, because a lot of times we consume this content, but we never actually integrate it. And it's in the integration where we actually see the change. So if you're willing to change your process and take a risk on yourself, because change is scary and sometimes it dysregulates our nervous system when we don't feel prepared. But the more you lean into what feels good to you, the more you step away from what doesn't, the more you start building out programs and services that feel truly authentically aligned with you, not with everybody else on social media, but with you and your business and your season of growth right now. When you start creating from a place of excitement and joy and fun again, everything starts to flow. And that's why I named my podcast Create the Flow, because we actually have the power to create from health and happiness and joy and excitement. We don't have to be discouraged and frustrated and always on edge. It really does get to be so simple when you take the work out of the job and make it fun for you by aligning with what you were designed to do, what you actually intuitively know you're supposed to do. And I know for myself, I learned that I really love working with people in larger groups. I like working in intimate groups and larger groups. I love working one on one with people. I really love going behind the scenes in their business and helping them find their blind spots. I love teaching that in my programs. So the second I felt that energy inside of me, like, this is what I'm supposed to do, I knew I had to give up social media management and the 6 figures it was bringing me a month, because it was no longer aligned with me and it was draining my energy and it kept pulling me away from the thing that I actually felt called to do. So if that resonates with you at all, whatever your service or your product is, and you feel like you need to make a change, I really encourage you to spend the time thinking about what that looks like, reverse engineer it, find a way to simplify it in a way that you can slowly burn out of that transition. So whatever that thing is you want to move away from, and move into the place that you want to be. And do it methodically. Don't try to do everything at once. Rome wasn't built in a day. We have to slowly layer. Start with one social media platform, one product, one nurture sequence, one dream client, and really build the thing that lights you up, that feels good, whatever that soul's purpose is, and stay in your lane. Stay in your lane. Don't let anybody else distract you, because your most magnetic self is your most authentic self. Your true identity is what's going to sell. At the end of the day, we are going to buy you before we ever buy your offering. So it's really about you being true to you. I hope this inspired you with a few different ways that you can maybe shift your business model, pull back the curtain, zoom out, and see where maybe you have a few blind spots or where you're living misaligned, and how you can just tweak small things to build something that is foundational and sustainable for the long haul. I love you, and I will see you on the next one.
Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode. If you'd like more information, you can follow along on Instagram at Create the Flow Podcast, or find me personally at Monica Freeman. And if you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to leave a review and share it with a friend.